Good morning, aloha. I'm Keala Kadooka, and I'm the Senior Learning Manager here at Four Seasons Resort Hualalai. I actually am originally from Oahu, and when I was 8, we moved to Oregon. And while I was going to college, my dad asked, "What are you going to do, when you graduate?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "Well, you should work with people." I said, "Yes, of course." And so he said, "Well, maybe you should go into tourism." I said, "Yes, I can go back to Hawaii. I can live with my grandparents." And he said, "Great." So 1993, January, flying over, and while I was en route, I thought, you know what, I'm not going to finish college. I am going to go find Hawaiians and fight for freedom and go to jail and whatever that is. So of course I land, and my cute little grandparents that are Filipino pick me up, and every day after that she asked, "Are you getting your classes at the U?" I'm like, "I'm really busy. I'm trying to find the Hawaiian people. So I can't go right now." But after a few more days had gone by, I thought I should probably go get my classes. So I went to UH Manoa. I enrolled in the School of Travel Industry Management, and I was really excited. I was a bus rider. I was getting ready for I think it's called spring semester maybe. And the bus stopped in downtown Honolulu. And as I looked out the window, there were all the Hawaiians. The palace, Iolani Palace, was draped in black, and I'm like, I have to get off the bus. So I get off the bus, I cross the street, and it was like, oh, Hawaii people everywhere. And this man said, "Come, baby, march for your kupuna." And I'm like, okay, yes, I will. So we march, and we sit under the beautiful banyan tree in the bandstand, and this man in his Mahalo comes up, and he's talking about this, and I think maybe Sky Father, and maybe that Earth Mother. And I didn't know what he was saying, but it felt amazing. And then a woman came up with her kihei, and she looked angry, and she said, "I am not an American." And I thought, what? And she said it 6 times. She was very angry. "I am not an American." I'm like, why? She said, "Tourism has ruined our culture." She actually used the word rape, which was like, oh. And I said, "What? Tourism has ruined the culture? I just got all my tourism classes. I'm a horrible Hawaiian." So caught the bus home, went to Kailua, called my parents in Oregon, and my mom picked up the phone, and I explained to her what happened, and she said, whoa, 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 whoa. You have an opportunity to make the change from the inside out. And I thought, oh, you're such a genius. So 4 years later, I finished UH, Travel Industry Management School. I would go to my interviews in my power mu'umu'us. And I wanted to look the part of being in Hawaii in tourism. And my first win was when the new counselor to the TIM program had invited me to her office to basically tell me that my wearing a mu'umu'u to an interview was not appropriate. So I thought, you can go in downtown Honolulu at any time and see men in aloha wear, and every hotel in Hawaii has somebody in a mu'umu'u. What is she talking about? So I marched down to my professor and told her, "That lady has offended me. I don't know what she's thinking. Does she think I'm stupid? Because I know what a power suit is." And so he went to tell her, and within a day, she called me back to her office to apologize. And I thought, yes, I am winning. I am making a change from the inside out. So Four Seasons hired me, and 2 weeks later, I was at the front desk, and the Four Seasons Resort Hualalai was connected to its place, its story, the ahupua'a that it's in, and I thought, this is exactly what we should be doing in hospitality. No cheesy allowed. And a few years later, about 10 years later, I became the training manager and was able to participate with the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association in kind of culture-based, from a Hawaiian point of view, training. So important. Especially to those of us that know how special Hawaii is. And, growing up in Oregon in my formative years, there's tons of Hawaiian culture and history, and you realize how important it is to keep the stories alive and to help influence others versus beat them on the head with culture. They have to understand how important and how beautiful these places are, especially the values. So as part of my training, we incorporate 2 hours of Hawaiian culture. We talk about language. We talk about kako. We talk about whose responsibility is it to teach others when they come to Hawaii, because who does? Who teaches them? It's our job. And so I feel super blessed about being able to talk about aloha, live aloha, but other values, like ohana and kako and ho'okipa to be hospitable, because our people were curious by nature. They were welcoming to others, and they showed them how we should be treated. So that's my shtick, my mantra is to tell people, you know, how you gonna have them treat your place? They don't know if they're not told. And people come and they take, and they don't always give back. So to find a way to give back, that's kind of my thing. And I hope that inspires others to do the same thing. So a lot of people hear the word ohana. I guess the best Hollywood version is Lilo and Stitch. Ohana means family, nobody gets left behind. But really, o means of, and hana means work. We all grew up with pauhana, which is like after work drinks and things like that, happy hour. But really, you have to understand hard work before you can understand family, because when you work hard, your body temperature rises, and Hawaiians are so poetic that when you think of the other people you work with, there's a warmth that comes from that. So you have to understand hard work before you can understand ohana. So that's ohana. Aloha, you know, if you actually broke down the word to alo and ha, and I've heard this multiple times, alo is in the presence of and ha is breath. And really, when you aloha someone, you have to trust that because you're so close in your greeting, that they will bring you no harm, and that you honor your past, your present, and future with the breath that you are breathing today. That's really deep. And ka'ako is everyone. You might hear all the time, aloha ka'ako. It means me, you, and more than 3 people. And that's what's so beautiful about being inclusive, that you're welcoming everyone, including yourself and others. And kako is everybody. You include everybody. So even like the word laulima, lau is hand, or I think so, and then lima, many hands. Yeah, that. And it's about everybody working together. So if somebody is sick in your community, we go help, we pitch in. It's a kako thing, and it's a laulima thing. We go bring them food, maybe we walk their dogs, or we go malama their kids so they can rest, maybe cook for them or bring them food. That's what we do. You might have plenty oranges or bananas or even fish. You go share that. That's the beauty of when you come to Hawaii. So I actually ask a question in our orientation as part of getting to know each other. It's silly, but I ask what high school you graduate from, and then I also ask them what potluck item they would bring. And the funny thing is, they think it's silly, but by the end of our 2 days together, the reason is when you go someplace, we always take, and you want to give back. So you want to give something good when you take your potluck item. And the thing about high school, we ask so that we know how to associate with you. It's the funniest thing. But really, if you grew up in Hawaii, you kind of know how and what their life is like based off of the school they went to. So it's just a way to make connection. And I always say, oh yeah, I went to Beaverton High School. What? Well, yeah, I grew up my formative years in Oregon. Now you understand why I like tater tots versus, you know, I don't know, eating and corn dogs versus a terry burger or terry plate. For the first couple years, that's all I ate, is like super haole food. So, and the word haole, it's not meant to be a bad word. You can make any word you want derogatory, and it just was a way to describe the kind of people we ran into. Maybe they weren't of the same value as us with ha. And maybe it was to describe how fair they look like, because what happens when you make. So ha'ole. So these are all the kinds of fun things we like to talk about and explain as part of our sense of place and where we're at. I'm a baby. I'm like such a baby in my journey of Hawaiian culture, as many of us are. What I love is that by nature, many people are curious and should be curious about others. Hawaiians were very welcoming and had much love for those who wanted to assimilate into the culture. And of course, the biggest thing is language. So as much as I can learn when I have time to put into learning, I embrace it and do my best to at least have the foundational basics. And culture is something that is always evolving. Even the language itself, a lot of the words that are Hawaiian are English words that have been Hawaiianized. But to understand the value is the big piece, and to not let the stories die. And that's a big thing too, is we try to share place names and use its proper name. I think it's Kalai, is it Kalaihi? Or instead of Diamond Head, what is the Hawaiian word? right? So I learned it. I don't know its story, but it's supposed to look like the brow of the ahi, right? But for the ahupua'a that I work in, it's called ka'ulupulehu, about two sisters roasting breadfruit. But what is your mo'olelo? What is your story? And those are things that we're trying to bring back so it doesn't get lost forever. And that's actually any culture, anywhere. We're so much more alike than we are different. Everybody has a story, and it's so nice once you connect with people to find those stories. And that was a Hawaiian. They invited you in, they fed you. You are not a stranger any longer because you sat and you ate and you talked story. And that's hopefully something we bring back in a time where we make judgment based off of social media or some other comment, but everybody's got a story. That's true aloha. And you can't sell it. So it's sad that people want to name a business with aloha in it and they're making money off of it. It should be something from inside. It should be true goodness. So those are the Hawaiian things. I mean, growing up in Hawaii, because till I was 8, and then moving to Oregon till I was 20, my formative years were in Oregon, but we grew up with the values of Hawaii. You leave your shoes at your door, but that's Asian too, like Japanese, you leave your shoes at the door. We teach everybody that comes in our house, take your shoes off, but you gotta teach. You gotta continuously teach. And so I'm lucky and blessed with that. But being in Hawaii amongst practitioners and learning more, hopefully it's what inspires you to learn more about culture. There's so much more to learn. I hate when people say, go talk to Keala, she's like the culture expert. No such thing. There's other people with way more knowledge and mana'o and storytelling, and those are the things I want to be able to craft. So I just try to keep the good and set the bad aside, as a very wise kumu told me, and continue to just learn and be excited about things that come to you or are given to you or gifted to you. So I learned about this value called huikala, and for those of you that know it, fantastic. For those of you that don't, it means to forgive completely. So once you huikala something, you don't bring it up again. It's like it never happened. And you have to be mature enough, you have to be honest enough with yourself to really go there so that it doesn't keep coming back. I call it like you get rid of the double jeopardy syndrome. Once you say ampao, you are finished. It is done. It's huikala. You have totally forgiven, and there is no turning back and bringing it up again. It's such a great value, but you have to be ready to truly exercise that value. You can say it, but if it keeps coming back, then you never really huikala. Yeah. So there's just so much to learn, and the more you can actually find time to sit with a kupuna that I'll tell you stories, you are blessed. So the word loko mai ka'i comes to mind. It is to be kind-hearted. Actually, I put that in my son's name. His name is Kekoa Li'i Makamai Loko Mai Ka'i, the kind-hearted and gentle little precious little warrior. But loko mai ka'i is so big because loko meaning inside and good mai ka'i. That's a huge value. Just to be kind, so to truly be aloha. I don't say it all the time because it's so trite now, but you would want somebody to feel it. So the mana, the energy, I usually tell my kids, don't say it if you don't feel it. I actually tell other coworkers, even though it was a value and a law enacted, it comes from being gracious and to be gracious. And I learned I have to be that. I have to figure out how to be gracious every day. And that's a big value. And you can feel when you're in the presence of somebody like that. And those are some takeaways. Kind, honest, be able to tell people your truth so that you don't go around letting it sit inside and get yucky. Yeah, so those kinds of things. And I just want people in my absence to tell me that that's how my kids are. So those are the values that I share and want to leave behind with my kids and my coworkers. You know, the interesting thing is, remember now my story of not understanding why that lady would be angry. It was a shocker for me to say I'm not an American. But if you understand the history, which many people do, what egregious events happened in 1893, that Hawaiians were recognized an independent nation. I would love for that to happen. I would support that. I would, if there was a way for us to do it and have our own self-sustaining economy and government, which all the pieces are there. I just think that it's a beast when you have to deal with a big nation like the United States. So you just have to acknowledge and kind of keep moving forward, because it will take time. And I don't think there should be a nation with a nation concept. I really truly believe there should be independence, but it takes courage and lots of money and people to get to a consensus. It doesn't mean all Hawaiians have to think the same, because even in regular government, you don't have any of that. You have lots of people that have lots of different beliefs, but I think if we all agree that, yes, we want to self-govern ourselves, that would be a great way to go. And to protect things that really are valuable to Hawaiians, like knowledge and sacred places. So these are really important pieces. So I do my best to get involved and share that and pass it on without being angry or pushing people away, especially our own people. There's a level of shame for not even knowing our own language. And I think being able to be proud without being shameful at the same time, I think that's a big thing. And to still honor kupuna, they only know what they know. And we only know what we know, but as if we can be curious and be inspired and open to what new knowledge comes our way, I think that's a really important part of self-discovery and just being connected to our culture. Yeah, I mean, because we're a blend of everything, but I get it. Hawaiians, what they loved is that when people assimilated, they were Hawaiian. Not just by blood, but by living the same values. And you have Hawaiians that don't live in Hawaii that have zero value or connected to that. So are they Hawaiian or not? So it's those kinds of things that is a great discussion that we should have with each other in a respectful way. And the word that I keep hearing too from other culture practitioners is kaiaulu, community. If you're not working towards community, what are you working toward? Because we need each other. It would make me extra sad, because I remember as growing up and being lucky enough to visit in the summer, I cried like with heaving sobs and with much sadness every time I was on the plane. And then when I moved home in '93 and I would go visit Oregon, I always felt good knowing I was coming back. So this might be my place forever. And I want it, as long as it's a happy, healthy place that I can continue to raise my kids. So, and that's like coming to almost an end when they start going to college. So, but right now it's the right place for me. It's kindness. You have to find it inside to be gracious. Yes, we can and should be angry about events that have happened, but we also have to find our way to make it right, acknowledge it, but move forward. It hurts me when people are unkind to each other in general, and we don't know other people's stories. There are people that, based off their look, you would never ever know have all this knowledge about the culture that had been hanai into their family, and they are keepers of sacred things, chants and practicing and the mo'olelo, and I have had to learn not to make these judgment things, because Hawaiians loved all. So it doesn't matter if you looked Hawaiian or brown on the outside, you might have some kind of gift. So that would be my advice, really, is to get to know someone, open it, be kind, and truly be that aloha. Not to be confused with being stomped on or bullied back into because we are not strong enough. We are strong. Aloha is strong. And I stand up. You have to stand up for what is right, for any value that you live by. And that's why I go around telling people, like, why do you have that tiki on there? And why are you calling it that? That's weird, right? So it's our job to say something, because if you don't, then that's the sad part, is we not fighting it in a way that helps people understand. So, I mean, I'm not one to shoot somebody down, literally, because they don't know. We gotta teach them. Kupuna. You know, there's a auntie of kupuna that works in our culture center. Her name is Halani Berard. And she had started working in my time that I was living on Lanai. And so when we would stop by the culture center, she would bust out her 3-ring binder and show the picture of the Hawaiian crest and the twin brothers. and she talked about Kame'e Iamoku, who was the chief of this ahupua'a that we work in. And the fact that he was so righteous and so fair and so loving to everything in the land and on the land, to his people and to the land, that he, along with his brother Kamanawa, who was the chief of the ahupua'a Kiholo, they were put on the seal because they were Kamehameha's uncles. And because they perpetuated this righteousness, this kindness, this fairness, they were good leaders. And for me, that sticks out of my mind because, you know, you grow up and you think, awesome, I got the seal, I'm Hawaiian, but I'm one of those people that didn't know the story behind who's on the seal, and for her to have shared that was great. And so that sticks in my mind because what she tells our new hires and anyone that comes through the Culture Center is that it is our kuleana to take care of everything and everyone in and on our land. So that's a great story. Again, to know your stories of your ahupua'a and who was here before us and what our job is to perpetuate taking care of the place and the people. It's honor to honor my grandma, who was Chinese Hawaiian, to honor even my Filipino grandma, like this kindness, this true aloha, to talk story with a stranger. I ate at Quinn's, our local awesome place for burgers and sandwiches and stuff in Kona, and just started talking story with some visitors from Minnesota in a table right next to me. And I think it's those kinds of things that I want to be able to say, I did good today. I alohaed a fellow human being. I shared with a young person that might not be appropriate if they're talking stinky or with their obnoxious curse words and all these things. Like, am I doing right? Am I, without upsetting or offending anyone? I just want to say the things that we grew up with that are right. So to be kind, to treat each other with aloha and mean it, and stand up for when nobody says something and it might be aloha, I think pono ole, or not right. So I think those are the things that I want to be able to perpetuate and share with others. Yeah, that are important to me. Just thank you. It's a blessing to know you. And I think in my older age, you just realize that the connections between human beings are really important. And that's aloha. So thank you. E ho mai kahike mai luna mai, o na mea una no ia o na mea e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai kahike mai luna mai, o na mea una no ia o na mea e ho mai, e ho mai. E ho mai kahike mai luna mai, o na mea una no ia o na mea e ho mai, e ho mai, e ho mai.